What I want to talk about is I've been thinking about the gross, the subtle, and the causal. I've been recently thinking about this and what does it represent, the gross, subtle, and the causal. The gross is the physical body. Subtle comprises of our mental, emotional, intellect body. And the causal is the cause of our mental and physical body. Or the way we look, the way we behave, the way we interact. The cause surfaces from the causal body. Now, what is the causal body? Causal body is that part of the Atman, which we call the ego. Ego is the cause of the manifestation of creation, first at the thought level, that is, when the thought arose in consciousness that it wanted to see itself in multitude, creation happened. So that was one cause. But how was that cause to multiply and manifest in different forms? That is possible only if it creates another. So when that Atman, the Paramatman creates Atman, and the Atman creates the ego, the next subtle part, which is set forth to experience its journey of evolution. So once that starts, then come in the emotions, the mind, our mental attitudes, which ultimately reflect in our physical body. Now, the mental body has different layers. Some are dense, some are subtle, some are subtler. So, those which are heavier or denser, they form part of our karmas, which this causal body has repeatedly dwelt on over long periods of different lifetimes. The other mental issues which surface as also karmas, but which are more that we start clearing in our daily living. So first, those start coming up in our life, our current life, and we start clearing out those, understanding those issues and all. But sometimes we find that the certain attitudes of ours occur or erupt without any real cause. That means certain episodes of anger, certain episodes of irritation. We don't, at that moment, don't understand where this is coming from because I'm not really that agitated, or the circumstance does not invite that sort of eruption. So those are the deep-rooted karmas which we have forgotten. And now when they start erupting, we start looking at them and not understanding, and lives pass off like that till one comes to an understanding. Okay, it's those deep-rooted things, I have to let them go. and try to work at them. And then slowly, they surface. We allow them to disappear with understanding and move towards a more balanced, healthy life. This is in very brief. Actually, when one can go into detail, and that is where it is important to talk and discuss and understand how all this happens, why it happens. And that's why it's called Maya. It's a play of consciousness, which consciousness, with its one thought of experiencing itself in multitude, set the ball rolling to experience itself. And ultimately, after experiencing itself after life in its various potential manifestations, it works its way back home. So the causal body, the individual ego, ultimately that is what is causing all this life drama. Does it make any sense?
Yes. Yes, Santoshma. So how do we try and clean this ego up of reactions, and how do we know our reactions are correct for us or not correct for us? Suppose we don't like someone. Should we continue working with them or not continue working with them?
See, once, actually, that is a detailed question which we can have another talk sometime. This is just to give a brief, my understanding of the, I was trying to figure out causal body. What is a causal? What does cause mean?
So you're saying the causal body is made up of the ego.
Causal body is the individual ego which splits from the Atman and starts its journey from the lower rungs of existence, slowly working its way up with understanding. Somebody asked a question, is there a past life? So in order to understand the past life, you have to understand how have you come to now, from where have you learned that you can run down the steps, or you can run up the steps, or you can cycle, or you can swim. These are things which you have been doing in the past, which they are stored in your memory, and just a little practice and you start doing it proficiently, or knitting in the dark, or sewing, whatever. So where is the memory coming from? It's not through this, in this lifetime you have learned certain things. They are part of our nature, which has been developed over past lives and lives after lives. And these memories get stored. And who we are and what we are is also there in our memory. So if we just learn to relax and allow our right hemisphere of the brain to relax and open up, and not allow the left egoic brain or the Jiva Atma to interfere, things will sort itself out. Because living in the left brain, you're constantly repeating those old statements, the old dramas, whereas the next party has forgotten about it and leading its own life, another drama of its creation. So why are we interfering with each other's dramas? There'll be a clash. Just like I am dealing with mine and suddenly I start mixing it with somebody else's, there'll be irritation and there will be confusion because the other person is living their story and I'm going and harping on my story. The other doesn't even know that you're sitting there harping on their story. Or they don't know that I'm still carrying on the old story. So it's when the understanding dawns, is the play happens and it finishes. A new play has started. And if I keep going back trying to live the old dialogue and old act when the other actors have changed, the actors have changed, but the scripts have changed. The stage has changed.
So
it doesn't seem to make sense. So what do? You start from where you are. That's why it is said to be in the present. Why are we living in the past? We make a future. How do we make a future? By not going back, and then trying to come to the future which has slipped and which is no longer the future. The future has changed. It's not going to be stuck in one place. Your today determines your tomorrow. Your present determines your future, not your past. So to get rid of the mind, drop the mind and live in awareness. If I keep bringing the past, I'll never be able to do justice to the present, and the future will become all also mixed up something which will not really make sense to the person who's listening or otherwise. It will be all garbled. You're trying to mix the past with the present and to deliver a future. How can that be? So this is just the tip of the iceberg.
So, is it fair to say that our whole life is like a Parish Ram, an effort to be seeing our own tendencies, our own cravings, our own desires, and our aversions, and thinning them out through awareness, and not having any great desire, so that then as we move towards exiting this life, the best way to exit is not to have some great ambition and to be clean of all aversions and cravings and things.
You can't be clean of all aversions and cravings and things and not have desires. If a desire is there, you have fulfill it and finish off with it.
Sure.
Why not have desires? Otherwise, there's no life. If a desire was not the desire of the source to see itself in multitude, where would you be? There would be no creation.
So right now, my only desire is to lose weight, nothing else.
Only desire is to
lose some weight. No other desire is there, because I know that if I desire to do something, it will take on so many other burdens on me that I feel now I have done everything I wanted to do. No need to do anything more.
Then don't do.
Keep it simple.
It's the easier thing.
Yes.
Don't do. Whatever has to be done will be done.
Yeah.
So whatever has to be done, that should be done. That should be taken in hand. Not again, I don't want to do, but I'm doing. You are not wanting to do, but it is wanting to be done. Now, if I say that I didn't want to bring all this knowledge out, I didn't want to do these books, I didn't want to. But it happened.
Yes.
See, when you stop bringing the I don't want to desire, I don't want to do this, I don't this, who cares? If it has to be done, it will be done. We don't have to lift a finger even. If I didn't want to sit in front of a computer, but I sat. There was no choice.
So, if someone were to ask you, what is the meaning of life? What would you answer?
If you have come into life, it has a meaning, it has a purpose, let it get fulfilled. Let it work itself out. You might go here, there. Ultimately, what you are meant to do, it will be get done. But if there's so much resistance, you'll come again and again and again until it is not done. To do the same thing. So the simplest thing is just sit, and whatever has to be done through you, let it get done. If it is felt you are not capable of it, it will be taken away.
So you're saying flow through life, and whatever is happening, let it flow and flow with it. So what is the...
It's not the doing. When we say that I don't want to do that, I am doing this, all that goes on, that is where the blocks come. I only want to meditate, I only want to do this, I only want to do this. Want. Want is always in the future. So the soul says, keep wanting. You'll come life after life wanting that, and still go with the want. Unless whatever purpose we came into manifestation for, if we had allowed it to work itself through us and not kept putting our will trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do this, trying to do that, that purpose is left behind. That's how we create more and more unmeaningful lives, you can say, till we allow it and say, okay, the purpose I have been created for, I allow that to flow through me, so that when the time comes, I fulfill the purpose that I'm really come down for. So when it is said, or Ramesh ji, the Advaita Master said, let life flow, because otherwise if we keep putting things into its way, the flow is disrupted.